Welcome back to The Quiet Drift. If you enjoy Willow's story, don't forget to subscribe to The Quiet Drift. You'll get a notification whenever a new episode is released.
June 1st, 2026.
The late afternoon sun, a low and generous golden orb, begins its slow descent toward the western ridge of the forested headland. Its light, no longer harsh and bright, but softened by the deepening angle, spills across the tranquil surface of the cove. You watch as it catches the gentle ripples on the water, transforming them into a shimmering quilt of liquid gold, each tiny wave reflecting a fleeting, luminous moment before giving way to the next. The air itself seems to thicken with this golden hue, a warm, buttery light that bathes the entire scene in a quiet glow. This light, so particular to the late afternoon, stretches long shadows from the ancient firs that stand sentinel along the water's edge, their dark, majestic forms now softened by the luminous wash. It filters through the dense canopy, dappling the forest floor with shifting patterns of warmth and shade, and then spills out onto the Myra's weathered deck. Here, it highlights the rich grain of the wood, bringing out the subtle variations in its sun-bleached surface, making the brass fittings on the mast gleam with a soft, internal fire. The ropes coiled neatly on the deck seem to drink in the light, their fibers catching the golden dust motes that dance lazily in the still air. Chester, ever the connoisseur of sunbeams, is stretched out languidly on the foredeck, a perfect, contented crescent of orange fur. The late afternoon light is a painter's dream on his coat, deepening the rich red-orange of his fur, making the white patch on his throat, like a small, immaculate cravat, seem even brighter against the warm backdrop. He is utterly still, save for the slow, rhythmic rise and fall of his chest, a purr of faint rumble, almost imperceptible, a gentle vibration against the deck itself. His eyes, half-closed slits of emerald green, seem to absorb the warmth, his whiskers twitching occasionally as if sifting the air for unseen currents. You notice the way the light picks out individual strands of his fur, creating a halo of gold around his relaxed form, a small, vibrant sun in miniature. The air carries the distinct, interwoven fragrances of this sheltered place. The crisp, invigorating scent of salt, carried on the faintest whisper of a breeze from the channel, mingles with the deep, resinous aroma of pine and cedar from the surrounding forest. It's a clean, wild perfume, grounding and serene, a scent that speaks of ancient trees and boundless ocean, of time moving slowly and deliberately. You breathe it in, a deep, unhurried breath that fills your lungs with the essence of the cove. From the rigging, a gentle, rhythmic hum begins, a soft, almost musical conversation between the wind and the taut lines. It's a subtle sound, woven into the fabric of the quiet afternoon, a gentle counterpoint to the distant, rhythmic wash of water against the hull. The halyards, secured loosely, tap against the mast with a soft, persistent beat, a sound both familiar and comforting, a lullaby of the boat. The very structure of the Myra seems to sigh with contentment, her wooden heart absorbing the gentle vibrations, the subtle movements of the water beneath her. Your gaze drifts across the cove, drawn by a single dark form perched on the low, barnacle-encrusted rocks on the far side. A cormorant, sleek and obsidian, stands with its wings half spread, drying them in the lingering warmth of the sun. It is a silhouette against the shimmering water, its posture one of ancient patience, a silent guardian of the cove's tranquility. It remains motionless for a long time, an unmoving sentry, until, with a sudden, fluid grace, it folds its wings and slips into the water, leaving only widening rings on the golden surface. Inside the Myra, the cabin is filled with the same soft, diffused light, filtered through the small portholes. The varnished teak gleams, reflecting the golden glow, giving the interior a warm, inviting amber hue. The air here is still and quiet, carrying the faint, sweet scent of beeswax and the earthy aroma of old paper from the bookshelves. The small cast-iron wood stove, cold now in the late afternoon, stands like a silent sentinel, its dark surface reflecting a tiny, distorted image of the world outside. The oil lamps suspended on their brass hooks seem to hold a promise of future light, their wicks waiting for the kiss of flame as dusk approaches. You move slowly, deliberately, your movements echoing the unhurried pace of the afternoon. The gentle sway of the boat beneath your feet is a familiar sensation, a constant, subtle reminder of the water that holds the Myra in its embrace. You notice the way the light catches the small blue flowers on the ceramic dishes stacked neatly in the galley, making their delicate petals seem almost luminous. The copper pots, hanging above the tiny propane stove, reflect the light with a soft, burnished glow miniature suns in the quiet space. A thought of tomorrow surfaces, a gentle current beneath the calm surface of the present moment. You recall your intention to make biscuits for Walter, a small offering of warmth and gratitude. And with that, the question you had held from the previous evening, about the light on the island, resurfaces with a soft insistence. It isn't an urgent question, but a quiet, persistent curiosity, a thread woven into the fabric of your days here. Walter, with his deep knowledge of the cove and its long history, would surely know. His calm presence, his slow-spoken wisdom, always seemed to offer comfort and clarity. The memory of the light, a fleeting flicker from the distant island, is not unsettling, but rather a quiet puzzle, a gentle mystery that adds another layer of texture to the serene landscape. It's the kind of question that doesn't demand an immediate answer, but rather invites contemplation, a quiet turning over in the mind, like smooth stones picked up from a beach. You imagine the path up to Walter's cottage, winding through the tall grass, past the old stone wall, the air growing cooler as you ascend, the scent of pine needles underfoot. The thought brings a quiet sense of anticipation, a gentle rhythm to the passing hours. You find yourself drawn to the small folding table, still cleared from yesterday's quiet work. Your watercolor box sits there, a silent invitation. The tubes of paint, each a tiny vessel of concentrated color, seem to hum with potential in the golden light. The brushes, laid out neatly, await their purpose. Perhaps a quick sketch of the cormorant, if it returns, or the way the light is painting the surface of the water, transforming it into liquid gold. The act of creation, of translating the world's beauty onto paper, is a quiet joy, a meditation in itself. Chester, as if sensing your gentle stirrings, stretches luxuriantly, his back arching, his claws extending and retracting with soft clicks against the deck. He yawns, a wide, pink cavern, before settling back into his sunbeam, his purr resuming its soft rhythm. He is a creature of pure presence, utterly absorbed in the simple pleasures of warmth and stillness, a constant reminder to slow down, to notice the small, perfect moments. The sounds of the cove continue their gentle symphony. The distant cry of a gull, a lonely, ethereal sound, drifts in from the open channel. The continuous, soft lapping of water against the hull of the Myra is a lullaby, a sound that has become as fundamental as your own heartbeat. It speaks of the vastness of the ocean beyond the narrow channel and the sheltering embrace of the cove. It's a sound that promises continuity, a sense of being held and protected. You lean back against the cool, varnished wood of the cabin wall, letting your gaze wander over the familiar details of your home. The bookshelves, built into the curve of the hull, hold stories and histories, silent companions in the quiet evenings. Each book a world waiting to be explored, a journey to be embarked upon without ever leaving the gentle sway of the Myra. The small, unframed canvases tucked into a corner, waiting for inspiration, for the moment when a particular light or shape demands to be captured. The air begins to carry a subtle shift, a faint coolness creeping in from the north. The golden light, while still vibrant, has begun to take on a deeper, more profound orange, signaling the nearing end of the day. The shadows lengthen further, stretching across the water, reaching toward the center of the cove. The cormorant, if it has returned, is now indistinguishable from the darkening rocks. The forest, with its ancient trees, begins to recede into a deeper, more mysterious green, its secrets held close as the light fades. You think of Walter again, of his quiet strength, his rootedness in this place. The idea of asking him about the light tomorrow doesn't feel like an inquiry for an answer, so much as an invitation to share a moment, to connect over a small, shared observation of the world around you. It's a small thread of human connection, woven into the deep solitude of your life here, a quiet anticipation that adds a subtle warmth to the evening. The question itself is not urgent, but rather a gentle hum in the back of your mind, like the soft thrum of the rigging in a light breeze. It's a curiosity that will gently accompany you into the night, a quiet promise of a morning conversation. The late afternoon sun, now a softer, golden hue, slants across the Myra's deck, finding its way into the open companionway. You watch as the dust motes dance in these warm shafts of light, tiny, forgotten specks caught in their slow, silent ballet. A faint scent of pine needles, warmed by the sun, drifts from the headland, mingling with the salt tang of the air. It's a quiet day in the cove, the kind where the world seems to hold its breath, waiting. You are seated on the small folding stool in the cockpit, a worn canvas sail bag beside you. Your hands, accustomed to the rhythm of purposeful tasks, reach for a small tear near the reinforced corner of the bag. From a small sewing kit, a gift from your grandmother long ago, you select a sturdy needle and a length of wax twine, the color a deep forest green. The thread whispers through the beeswax block, becoming stiff and smooth, ready for its work. With practiced ease, you begin to mend. The needle, cool and sharp, pushes through the thick canvas, pulling the twine through in neat, even stitches. Each movement is deliberate, unhurried. You feel the rough texture of the fabric against your fingertips, the subtle resistance as the needle penetrates. The rhythmic pull and push of your hands create a soothing cadence, a small, repetitive act of care. Your gaze drifts over the stitches, ensuring they are strong, that they will hold against the wind and the spray. As you work, Chester, a silent sentinel, uncurls himself from a patch of sun on the foredeck. He stretches languidly, a slow, full-body extension that ripples through his orange fur, before padding softly across the deck. He settles himself near your feet, his head resting on his paws, his eyes, half closed, observing your hands with an almost meditative focus. The gentle thump of his tail against the deck is the only sound he makes, a soft punctuation in the stillness. When the last stitch is secured and knotted, you bite the twine with a small, satisfying snap, trimming the ends neatly. The repair is robust, almost invisible. You smooth your hand over the mended canvas, a quiet sense of accomplishment settling within you. The small tasks, the acts of keeping and mending, are a grounding force here, connecting you to the tangible world, to the simple beauty of things made to last. Next, your hands move to the ropes coiled on the deck. The halyards and sheets, despite their careful storage, have developed a few kinks, a slight disarray from the morning's gentle breeze. You begin to recoil them, one by one. The thick strands of rope, cool and slightly stiff in your grip, run through your fingers. You work slowly, drawing each loop into a perfect, concentric circle, laying it carefully beside the last. The scent of hemp and salt rises faintly as you handle them, a smell that speaks of voyages and the open sea, even in the stillness of the cove. You notice, as you coil the mainsheet, a small, almost imperceptible fray on one of the strands, a whisper of wear. It's nothing urgent, nothing that needs immediate attention, but your mind registers it, a note for future care. It's these small details, the subtle signs of time and use, that reveal themselves when you move slowly, when your attention is fully present in the moment. The boat, a living entity, whispers its needs through these tiny imperfections. With the ropes neatly coiled and hung on their pins, you turn your attention to the small propane galley below deck. The air in the cabin is still, carrying the faint, warm scent of the wood stove, even though it's unlit today. You open the small icebox, its wooden lid cool to the touch, and retrieve a small block of cheese wrapped in muslin and a handful of plump, red tomatoes from a basket on the counter. Your hands move with unpracticed grace as you prepare a simple meal. You slice the cheese into thin, even wedges, the knife making a soft, dry whisper as it passes through the firm block. The tomatoes, still cool from the basket, are halved, their vibrant red flesh glistening, a faint, sweet aroma rising as you cut them. You arrange them on a small ceramic plate, the blue flowers on its rim seeming to bloom around the colorful food. A handful of wild greens, gathered from the forest path this morning, are washed under the pump, the cool water splashing gently into the basin. The quiet hiss of the small propane burner fills the cabin as you light it, the blue flame a steady beacon in the dim light. In a small copper pot, you warm a handful of dried lentils, stirring them with a wooden spoon, the gentle clatter a counterpoint to the soft sigh of the burner. The aroma of simmering lentils, earthy and comforting, begins to fill the small space, promising warmth and sustenance. As the lentils cook, you step back out onto the dock. The sun has dipped lower, casting long shadows across the water. The air is cooler now, carrying a hint of evening dampness. Your hands reach for the small clay pots nestled near the Myra's bow. The lavender, its spires of purple flowers swaying gently in the faint breeze, and the rosemary, its needle-like leaves releasing a fragrant, sharp scent as you brush against them. You lift the small copper watering can, its metal warm from the sun, and pour a gentle stream of water into each pot. The water, cool and clear, soaks into the dry soil with a soft, slurping sound. You watch as the water darkens the earth, hydrating the roots, a small act of nurturing that connects you to the living things around you. The plants seem to sigh in contentment, their leaves taking on a richer hue. As you water the rosemary, your gaze drifts past the plants, over the placid surface of the cove. The water is a deep, shifting canvas of blues and greens, reflecting the sky and the surrounding forest. And then you see it. A small, almost imperceptible ripple near the middle of the cove, a series of concentric circles expanding outwards, as if something has just broken the surface and submerged again. It's too large for a fish, too deliberate for a random current. You pause, the watering can still in your hand, your eyes fixed on the spot. The ripples fade, leaving the water smooth and unbroken once more. There is nothing now but the quiet shimmer of the surface. You've seen the seals, of course, their dark heads bobbing in the water, their sleek bodies diving and resurfacing with playful grace. But this ripple felt different, less like an animal at play, more like a quiet, purposeful movement. A fleeting thought, a wisp of a question, drifts through your mind. What could have made such a ripple in such a quiet place? You stand there for a moment longer, watching, but the water remains still, offering no further clues. The sun continues its descent, painting the western sky in hues of soft orange and rose. The air grows cooler still, carrying the promise of the evening. The scent of the cooking lentils wafts from the cabin, drawing you back to the warmth and comfort within. Back inside, the lentils have softened, their rich aroma filling the small cabin. You stir them gently, adding a pinch of salt and a grind of pepper, the small sounds of the kitchen a comforting presence. Your hands move with a quiet efficiency, arranging the cheese, tomatoes, and greens on the small folding table that serves as your dining space. You light an oil lamp, its soft, golden glow casting dancing shadows on the varnished teak walls, making the small space feel even more intimate and warm. Chester, sensing the imminent arrival of food, has reappeared, rubbing himself against your legs with a low, rumbling purr. You reach down and scratch behind his ears, feeling the soft fur beneath your fingers, his body arching into your touch. He is a constant, quiet presence, a warm weight in the solitude. As you sit down at the table, the small ceramic plate before you, you close your eyes for a moment, offering a silent prayer of gratitude for the food, for the shelter of the Myra, for the quiet peace of the cove. The warmth of the lamp, the scent of the food, the gentle rocking of the boat beneath you, it all conspires to create a profound sense of peace. You begin to eat, the simple meal a delight after the small tasks of the afternoon. The cheese is sharp and satisfying, the tomatoes sweet and bursting with flavor, the lentils hearty and warm. Each bite is savored, a moment of deep appreciation for the nourishment. As you finish, the last rays of sunlight have faded completely from the sky, leaving the cove cloaked in the soft, deepening twilight. The oil lamp casts its steady glow, creating a small, bright world within the Myra. You clear the plate, washing it carefully in the small basin, the sound of the water gentle and rhythmic. Later, as you sit reading by the lamp, the book a worn volume of poetry, your mind returns to the ripple in the cove. It was a fleeting thing, easily dismissed, but it lingers in the edges of your awareness. It wasn't menacing or even particularly strange, but simply, there, another small, quiet question in a world full of them. You decide you will keep an eye on the water tomorrow, perhaps spend a bit more time observing the patterns of the currents, the movements of the creatures that inhabit these depths. The cove, you realize, holds its own gentle secrets, whispered only to those who take the time to listen. You feel a gentle curiosity, a quiet anticipation for what the morning light might reveal, or what Walter might say about the island. The air, which held a soft warmth through the late afternoon, now begins its slow, unhurried surrender to the evening chill. You notice it first as a subtle shift, a whisper against your skin, a gentle invitation to draw your shawl a little tighter, to seek the sheltered comfort of the Myra's cabin. But for now, you linger on the dock, unwilling to miss the unfolding spectacle of the sun's departure. You watch as the light, which had bathed the cove in a clear, bright gold, begins its deep, resonant transformation. The western sky, visible through the narrow channel that opens to the sea, is a canvas of breathtaking change. The golden hue, so dominant moments ago, deepens, suffuses with a rich, burnished orange, as if the sun itself is melting into the horizon. This isn't a sudden, dramatic plunge, but a slow, deliberate descent, each moment drawing out the colors, enriching their intensity. The surface of the cove mirrors this celestial artistry. The water, which had been a shimmering expanse of quicksilver in the brighter light, now takes on the deeper, warmer tones of the sky. Ripples, stirred by an imperceptible breath of air, catch the orange light, turning the small waves into liquid bronze, then into streaks of molten copper. Each gentle undulation carries a fragment of the sunset, reflecting it back to your eyes in a myriad of fleeting, luminous patterns. You stand at the edge of the dock, your gaze fixed on the channel. The air is still, almost reverent, as if the entire cove holds its breath for this daily ritual. The scent of pine and damp earth from the surrounding forest mingles with the briny tang of the sea, a familiar and comforting perfume that deepens with the cooling air. A lone gull cries out, a long, mournful sound that seems to echo the vastness of the approaching night, but even that fades, leaving only the soft lapping of water against the Myra's wooden hull and the pilings of the dock. The orange light, having reached its peak, now begins its gentle transition into a softer, more ethereal palette. Hues of rose and soft coral bloom across the western sky, painting the clouds that drift lazily overhead with delicate strokes of crimson and peach. The deeper parts of the cove, shadowed by the towering conifers on the headland, begin to take on a violet cast, a cool counterpoint to the warm fire in the sky. You notice how the forest itself seems to absorb the changing light. The dark greens of the fir and cedar, so vivid in the midday sun, now deepen to an almost indigo, their textures softened, their edges blurred by the encroaching dusk. The tall grasses on the headland, which had swayed with a golden shimmer in the afternoon breeze, now stand still, their tips catching the fading pink light like 1,000 tiny embers. A shiver, not of cold but of quiet wonder, passes through you. It's a feeling you've grown accustomed to in this secluded place, this sense of being intimately connected to the earth's ancient rhythms. Here, without the artificial glare of electric lights or the ceaseless hum of machines, the world reveals itself in its raw, unadorned beauty. The daily turning of the sky becomes a profound event, a silent sermon delivered by the very fabric of existence. The pinks and corals linger for a while, holding their delicate sway before slowly, imperceptibly giving way to the deeper, more profound blues of twilight. The sky above, directly overhead, is already a deep, inky sapphire, a color so rich it feels almost velvety. Towards the west, where the sun made its exit, the last vestiges of color are fading, leaving behind a subtle glow, a memory of the day's warmth. The water, reflecting this deepening blue, becomes a vast, shimmering canvas of midnight hues. The small waves that once glittered with gold and copper now reflect the deepening sky, turning the cove into a mirror of indigo and charcoal, broken only by the faint silver sheen where the last light touches the surface. The Myra, moored peacefully at the dock, seems to settle deeper into the water, her dark hull a silhouette against the muted tones of the forest. The air cools further, bringing with it a crispness that sharpens the edges of every scent. The salt from the sea seems more pronounced, the resinous tang of the fir trees more potent. You can almost taste the approaching night on your tongue, a clean, refreshing taste that invigorates your senses even as it lulls them towards rest. You find yourself drawing a deep, slow breath, filling your lungs with the cool, clean air. It's a moment of profound peace, a stillness that settles deep within you, quieting the small, insistent hum of daily thoughts. This transition from day to night is not a sudden plunge into darkness, but a gradual, gentle embrace, a slow closing of the world's bright eye. As the last sliver of the sun's memory fades from the western horizon, a single star, bright and unwavering, pricks the deepening blue. It appears almost shyly at first, a tiny pinprick of light, but as the sky darkens further, its brilliance grows, becoming a beacon in the vast expanse above. You tilt your head back, watching as others begin to emerge, scattered across the velvet canvas, each a distant, silent sentinel. The silence of the cove deepens, broken only by the soft, rhythmic lapping of the water against the hull of the Myra and the whisper of the wind through the rigging. It's a silence that isn't empty, but full, rich with the sounds of the natural world. The distant hoot of an owl carries on the cool air from the forest, a soft, resonant call that seems to mark the official arrival of night. You imagine Chester, somewhere out in the woods, his keen senses alert to these nocturnal sounds, his orange fur aflicker against the deepening shadows. The temperature has dropped noticeably now, and you can feel the chill seeping into your bones. It's a signal, a gentle urging to seek the warmth of the cabin, the comforting glow of the oil lamp. But still, you linger, unwilling to tear yourself away from the profound beauty of this moment. The world has narrowed to this cove, this dock, this incredible display of light and shadow. The final trace of color has vanished from the western sky, leaving behind a deep, stardusted charcoal. The channel, which once glowed with the fiery heart of the sun, is now a dark, mysterious opening, hinting at the vast, unseen ocean beyond. The forest, once a tapestry of greens and browns, is now a solid, impenetrable wall of black, its secrets held close by the encroaching night. You turn your gaze back to the Myra, her lines softened by the low light, her mast a tall, slender finger pointing to the emerging stars. The scent of wood smoke, faint and inviting, drifts from the small stovepipe, promising warmth and comfort within. The oil lamp, unlit for now, hangs patiently on its brass hook inside the cabin, waiting for its moment to cast a soft, golden glow against the varnished teak. The air is now distinctly cool, carrying with it the undeniable promise of a clear, starry night. You can feel the faint dampness settling on your hair, a fine mist that hints at the morning fog that often blankets the cove. The sounds around you are muted, absorbed by the deepening dark. The distant roar of the ocean, a constant companion in this place, seems softer, more rhythmic, like a vast, breathing presence beyond the channel. As you finally turn from the dock, your steps are slow, deliberate, each movement a conscious act of presence. The transition from day to night is complete. The full, deep dark has arrived, wrapping the cove in its silent, star-strewn embrace. The world has settled into its nighttime rhythm, a quiet, profound stillness that invites reflection and eventually sleep. You carry within you the lingering echoes of the sunset, the memory of those vibrant, fleeting colors, a quiet warmth against the growing chill of the night. The last sliver of sun dips below the western horizon, and the cove begins its slow surrender to twilight. A cooler breath of air drifts in through the companionway, carrying the scent of damp earth and distant pine. Inside the Myra, the air has softened, the sharp edges of daylight giving way to a more intimate dusk. You watch as Willow reaches for the small ceramic lamp that hangs from a brass hook above the folding table. Her movements are unhurried, practiced. She lifts the glass chimney, her fingers deft as they find the wick, and with a strike of a match, a tiny flame blossoms, then steadies. The light spreads slowly, a pool of amber warmth that transforms the cabin. The varnished teak walls, so rich and deep in daylight, now glow with an inner luminescence, reflecting the lamp's gentle flicker. Shadows begin to dance, stretching and shrinking with the sway of the boat, making the small space feel alive and breathing. The gleam of copper pots hanging above the tiny galley stove catches the light, burnished surfaces winking like sleepy eyes. The ceramic dishes with their delicate blue flowers, stacked neatly in their rack, seem to blush in the soft glow. Every familiar object in the cabin takes on a new character, softened and deepened by the lamplight. You feel the slight, rhythmic rocking of the Myra, a gentle lullaby against the hull. The water murmurs secrets just inches from your ear, a soft shush-shush that is both constant and comforting. Willow moves through this intimate space with an innate grace, her body knowing every curve and corner, every handhold and surface. There is no fumbling, no hesitation, only a quiet, efficient flow. She reaches for the kettle on the cast iron stove, its surface still radiating a faint, lingering warmth from the afternoon's fire. The kettle's copper reflects the lamp, a miniature sun glowing on its belly. She fills it from a ceramic pitcher, the sound of water gurgling a small, domestic music in the quiet cabin. The air fills with the faint, comforting scent of wood smoke, mingling with the salt tang that always seems to find its way aboard. While the water begins to heat, Willow fetches a small loaf of bread from a canvas bag hanging near the companionway. It's a dark, crusty loaf, clearly homemade, and as she slices it, the rich aroma of yeast and baked wheat fills the air. She lays the slices on a small wooden board, her movements precise and unhurried. The knife, honed to a fine edge, makes no sound as it parts the bread. You notice Chester, who has been curled in a tight ball on the narrow sleeping berth in the bow, slowly unfurl himself. He stretches languidly, a long, luxurious arch of his orange back, his tail twitching once before he hops down to the cabin's sole. He weaves a figure eight around Willow's ankles, a silent request for attention, which she acknowledges with a gentle brush of her hand against his soft fur. He purrs, a low, rumbling vibration that seems to resonate through the very timbers of the boat. Willow sets a small cast iron pot on the stove, into which she spoons a thick, hearty stew she prepared earlier in the day. The gentle sizzle and the rich, savory smell of vegetables and herbs soon join the symphony of scents in the cabin. This is her evening ritual, a pattern of quiet actions that ground her, a rhythm as steady as the tide. She pours hot water from the kettle into a ceramic mug, adding a spoonful of dried herbs for tea. The steam rises, fragrant with the scent of chamomile and a hint of mint. She then carries her small meal to the folding table, placing the mug, the bowl of stew, and the bread carefully before her. You watch as she pauses, her head bowed for a moment in quiet gratitude, her lips moving in a silent prayer. The small cabin feels like a warm, safe cocoon, a sanctuary against the cool, dark world outside. The oil lamp casts long, dancing shadows, making the bookshelves built into the hull seem to breathe. You can almost feel the weight of the stories held within those pages, silent companions in the long evenings. As Willow eats, slowly savoring each bite, her gaze drifts around the familiar space. Her eyes linger on the small, framed watercolor propped on a narrow shelf near the galley. It's a painting of the cove at dawn, the water a pearly gray, the distant headland shrouded in mist. She painted it last autumn, capturing the fleeting light of a new day. A memory surfaces, as soft and ephemeral as the mist in her painting. She recalls the day she first saw the Myra, 2 years ago, tied to a decaying pier in a small, forgotten harbor further down the coast. The boat had looked neglected then, her paint peeling, her rigging frayed. But even then, there was something about her, a quiet dignity, a promise of journeys yet to come. She had felt an inexplicable pull, a sense of recognition, as if the Myra had been waiting for her. She remembers the feeling of stepping aboard for the first time, the scent of old wood and salt, the hush that seemed to settle over her as she explored the small cabin. It had felt like coming home, even though she had no home to return to. Her gaze then falls upon a detail she has noticed before, but never truly questioned. Underneath the small, folding table, almost hidden by the shadows, there is a faint, almost imperceptible scratch in the varnished teak. It's not a fresh mark, but one that has been there for a long time, softened by age and countless polishings. It's a series of small, intertwined initials, 3 letters entwined together, JAC. She traces the letters with her fingertip, a ghost of a touch against the smooth wood. They are clearly not her initials. And they are too intricate, too deliberately carved to be mere scratches. Someone had taken the time to etch them there, carefully, lovingly. They are a whisper from the Myra's past, a silent testament to a life lived aboard before Willow found her. She has seen the letters many times, of course, but tonight, in the warm, quiet glow of the lamp, they seem to hold a new significance. They are not merely scratches, but a story waiting to be told. She wonders who Jac was. What were their dreams aboard this boat? Where did they sail? Did they love this cove as much as she does? The question hangs in the air, a gentle thread of curiosity. It's a small, quiet mystery, not unsettling, but intriguing. It reminds her of the other unexamined items aboard the Myra, the rolled chart tucked under the berth with its mysterious pencil crosses, the old tin box with letters she has never opened, the faint name scratched into the hull near the waterline that is not the Myra's name. The Myra holds more than just her belongings. She holds echoes of lives that came before. Each small discovery is a gentle reminder that she is a link in a long chain, a temporary custodian of this beautiful, enduring vessel. Chester, having finished his exploration of the cabin, leaps onto the berth beside her, settling with a contented sigh, his purr a soft thrum against the wood. Willow finishes her tea, the warmth spreading through her. The stew has warmed her from the inside out, and the quiet ritual of the evening has settled her spirit. The small, intertwined initials under the table continue to hold her gaze for a moment longer. She doesn't feel a need to solve the mystery tonight, or even tomorrow. It is enough for now to simply know it is there, a quiet question to carry into the night. She wonders if Walter, with his long memory and his knowing silences, might know anything about Jac. She makes a mental note, a soft promise to herself, to perhaps ask him someday when the moment feels right. But not tonight. Tonight is for quiet contemplation, for the gentle rocking of the Myra, and for the soft, steady rhythm of her own breathing. The gentle rocking of the Myra continues, a rhythmic cradle beneath you. Outside, the last sliver of twilight has faded completely, leaving the cove cloaked in a profound darkness. You can feel the stillness of it, a quiet weight settling over the water and the surrounding forest. The oil lamp, a warm golden heart within the cabin, casts its soft glow through the portholes, painting wavering rectangles of light on the dark surface of the water immediately around the boat. Beyond that small illuminated sphere, the world is a canvas of deep, velvety black. You lean back against the cool varnished bulkhead, the warmth of the cast iron stove a comforting presence beside you. The aroma of wood smoke, faint and sweet, mingles with the briny scent of the sea air that seeps in through the open hatch. Chester, a warm, purring weight in your lap, seems to sense the hush that has fallen. His breathing is slow and deep, a tiny engine of contentment. His fur, soft and warm beneath your fingers, rises and falls with each breath. You gently stroke his back, feeling the ripple of muscle beneath his soft coat, and he responds with a low rumble that vibrates through your own body. The sounds of the night begin to assert themselves, a symphony of natural quiet. The most constant is the gentle conversation of water against the Myra's wooden hull. A soft lapping, a whispering hiss as tiny waves, born from some unseen breath of air, roll past the boat. It is a sound that has become as familiar as your own heartbeat, a lullaby that has cradled you through countless nights in this sheltered cove. Sometimes a larger swell, perhaps a residual ripple from a passing fishing boat far out in the channel, will cause the Myra to lift and settle with a deeper sigh, the timbers creaking softly in response. Each sound is a confirmation of your place here, a reminder of the living, breathing world that holds you. Above, through the open hatch, you can just make out the first faint pinpricks of stars beginning to pierce the inky blackness. They seem impossibly distant, yet their light feels close, a silent promise of infinity. You imagine them reflecting on the vast, calm surface of the cove, thousands of tiny diamonds scattered across black silk. The air, though still, carries a subtle coolness now, a hint of the night's embrace. It is a clean, crisp coolness, carrying the scent of pine needles from the surrounding forest and the invigorating tang of salt from the distant ocean. You decide to step out onto the deck for a moment, to fully immerse yourself in the night. Carefully so as not to disturb Chester, who only stirs slightly and then settles back down, you rise from your seat. You unlatch the hatch and push it open, the gentle squeak of the wood a small sound in the vast quiet. Stepping out onto the foredeck, you feel the cool night air on your face, a refreshing contrast to the warmth of the cabin. The darkness out here is profound, deeper than it appeared from within. Your eyes slowly adjust, discerning the faint outlines of the surrounding landscape. The forested headland that rises behind the dock is a colossal, silent mass, its ancient trees reaching towards the star-dusted sky. Their forms are indistinct, a darker black against the slightly lighter black of the night sky, but you can feel their presence, a comforting, protective embrace around the cove. Across the water, some 400 meters away, the island is a low, dark silhouette. It rises gently from the water, its treeline a soft, curved edge against the horizon. Tonight there is no light visible on the island, only its familiar, comforting shape. It sits like a watchful guardian, a quiet presence in the heart of the cove. You wonder briefly about the light you saw the previous night, and the questions you plan to ask Walter tomorrow. But for now, the island is simply a part of this quiet landscape, a dark jewel in the night. The rigging of the Myra whispers above you, a delicate, almost musical sound. The wind, barely a breath, finds its way through the stays and shrouds, creating a soft, high-pitched hum, a gentle sigh that seems to speak of distant journeys and quiet anchorages. It is a constant reminder of the boat's purpose, a vessel designed for the open sea, yet now resting peacefully in this sheltered haven. The mast, a tall, dark spear, points towards the stars, anchoring the Myra to both the earth and the heavens. A distant owl hoots, its call a soft, mournful sound that drifts across the water from the forest. It is a lonely sound, yet it doesn't evoke loneliness in you. Instead, it seems to deepen the sense of peace, a natural punctuation in the quiet symphony of the night. You listen for a moment, waiting for a reply, but none comes. Only the gentle lapping of water, the soft whisper of the rigging, and the steady, quiet rhythm of the night. As you stand on the deck, breathing in the cool, clean air, you notice a subtle shift in the atmosphere. A faint, ethereal mist is beginning to form, a ghostly presence rising from the surface of the water. It clings low, just above the dark mirror of the cove, softening the edges of the distant shore, blurring the line between water and land. This is the fog, a familiar visitor to these Pacific Northwest nights, a gentle shroud that will eventually envelop the cove, muffling sounds and obscuring sight, creating a world of soft, diffused light by morning. For now, it is just a suggestion, a veiled promise of deeper stillness to come. You lean against the lifeline, feeling the cool, rough texture of the wood beneath your hands. The Myra sways almost imperceptibly, a comforting, familiar motion. Looking out at the dark expanse of the cove, at the faint glimmer of stars reflecting on the water, at the quiet silhouette of the island, a profound sense of gratitude washes over you. It is a feeling that settles deep in your chest, warm and expansive. This life, this quiet existence, was a choice you made, a deliberate turning away from something else, something louder and more demanding. Here, in this secluded cove, aboard this small wooden boat, you have found a rhythm that resonates with a deeper part of yourself. The days unfold with a gentle predictability, punctuated by the small tasks of daily life, tending the fire, preparing simple meals, reading, walking the forest path, painting. Each action is imbued with a quiet purpose, a mindful engagement with the present moment. There is a sense of being held here, not trapped but embraced. The surrounding forest, the calm water of the cove, the steadfast presence of Walter on the headland, even the silent companionship of Chester, all contribute to this feeling of belonging. It is a belonging that doesn't demand explanations or justifications, a simple acceptance of your presence. You have never fully articulated why you stopped here, why you chose this particular cove after sailing so far up the coast alone. Even to yourself, the reasons remain a soft murmur, a feeling more than a clear thought. But standing here, under the vast, star-dusted sky, with the cool air on your face and the gentle rocking of the Myra beneath your feet, it feels profoundly right. There is a certain honesty to this life, a stripping away of all the unnecessary layers. No distractions, no clamor, just the elemental rhythms of nature and the simple needs of existence. It allows for a clarity of thought, a quiet space for reflection that was absent before. You find yourself noticing the intricate patterns in a piece of driftwood, the subtle shifts in the color of the water throughout the day, the particular way the light filters through the ancient trees on the headland. These small observations become moments of quiet wonder, anchors in the flow of time. You realize that this stillness, this deep quiet, is not an emptiness but a fullness. It is a space where the soul can breathe, where the hurried pace of the outside world recedes, leaving behind a tranquil expanse. There is a sense of peace that permeates your being, a deep, abiding calm that has settled within you since you arrived here. It is a peace that feels earned, a sanctuary found after a long journey. The thought of tomorrow, of bringing biscuits to Walter and asking about the light on the island, surfaces gently. It is not an urgent thought, but a quiet thread, a small question that lingers at the edge of your awareness. The light was there and then it wasn't. What could it have been? Who might be on the island at night? These are not questions that cause alarm, but rather a quiet curiosity, a gentle pull towards a small unraveling of the cove's quiet mysteries. You look across the dark water at the silent silhouette of the island once more, a faint sense of intrigue stirring within you. The night holds its secrets, and tomorrow will bring its own gentle revelations. For now, the darkness, the sounds, and the profound peace of the cove are enough. The Myra settles against her lines with a soft sigh, a gentle rocking that cradles you as the evening deepens. The air within the cabin is warm now, a comforting pocket against the cool breath of the cove. The small cast-iron stove, its belly glowing faintly through the grates, hums with the steady combustion of kindling and split cedar. You can hear the crackle and pop, a miniature hearth song that fills the quiet space. Through the polished brass porthole, a single star, impossibly bright, winks into view, then another, until the velvet canvas of the night sky begins to prickle with distant light. There are no other lights here, only the soft gleam of the oil lamp hanging above the galley, casting a warm, buttery glow on the varnished teak and the spines of the books tucked into their custom-built shelves. The world outside narrows to the rhythmic slap of water against the hull, the distant, sighing breath of the wind through the tall pines on the headland, and the soft, almost imperceptible creak of the Myra's timbers. Chester, a warm weight of ginger fur, is curled tightly at the foot of your berth, a low rumble emanating from his chest, a deep, contented purr that vibrates through the narrow mattress. His eyes, half closed, reflect the lamp's glow like twin amber marbles. He is a steadfast presence, a silent companion in these long, unhurried evenings. You reach down and stroke his soft fur, feeling the warmth of him, the steady rhythm of his breathing. He stretches languidly, pushing his head into your hand, before settling back into his drowsy state. Willow, across from you, is seated on the small, built-in settee, her back against the cool teak. A thick woolen blanket is draped over her lap, and in her hands she holds a well-worn book, its pages a soft ivory in the lamplight. You watch as her eyes move slowly across the text, occasionally pausing, a faint, thoughtful expression on her face. Her movements are unhurried, each turn of a page a deliberate, gentle act. The silence between you is not empty, but full, rich with the small sounds of the boat, the warmth of the fire, the shared, peaceful presence. The scent of wood smoke mingles with the faint, briny tang of the sea that always seems to linger in the air here, a constant reminder of the Myra's connection to the water. From the clay pot on the dock, a ghost of lavender drifts in through the slightly open companionway, a floral counterpoint to the earthier aromas. It's a tapestry of scents, subtle and familiar, weaving itself into the fabric of the evening. You find your own gaze drawn to the porthole, watching the stars multiply, each one a pinprick of ancient light. The vastness of the sky feels close here, unfettered by the distant glow of any settlement. It's a profound kind of darkness, one that allows the universe to unfurl itself in quiet majesty. You could spend hours simply watching the stars, feeling the gentle sway of the boat, letting the world outside recede. Willow closes her book with a soft thud, placing it carefully on the small folding table beside her. She doesn't immediately move, but rather sits for a moment, her gaze drifting towards the porthole as well. You notice the way the lamplight catches the faint auburn highlights in her dark hair, the thoughtful line of her brow. She seems to be listening, not to any particular sound, but to the deeper rhythm of the night, the quiet pulse of the cove. Earlier today, when you walked the path up to Walter's cottage, the morning sun had been a warm blessing on your face. The air, crisp and clear, carried the scent of pine needles and damp earth. You remember the way the dew sparkled on the tall grass, each blade a miniature jewel. Walter had been tending to his small vegetable garden, his hands gnarled and earth-stained, his movements slow and deliberate. You had given him the warm, still-steaming biscuits, wrapped in a linen cloth, and his eyes had crinkled at the corners as he smiled, a deep, genuine warmth in his gaze. He offered you a cup of steaming herbal tea, a brew made from herbs he'd gathered himself, fragrant and earthy. You had sat on his weathered wooden bench, looking out over the cove, the Myra a small, peaceful presence far below. The conversation had been, as always, unhurried, a gentle exchange of observations about the weather, the small changes in the tide. And then, you remember, you had brought up the light. Walter, you had begun, the words feeling a little clumsy on your tongue. I've been seeing a light on the island at night. He had taken a slow sip of his tea, his gaze fixed on the distant line where the sky met the open sea. A long moment of silence had passed, filled only with the faint chirping of a hidden bird and the rustle of leaves in the gentle breeze. You had waited, not impatiently, but with a quiet sense of anticipation. Finally, he had turned his head slightly, his eyes still holding that distant, knowing look. The island, he had murmured, his voice soft, almost a whisper, has always held its own secrets. He hadn't elaborated. He hadn't dismissed it, nor had he offered an explanation, just that quiet observation, leaving the words hanging in the air like smoke from a dying fire. You hadn't pressed him, knowing that Walter rarely offered more than he intended. His words were like smooth, weathered stones, solid, yet revealing only their surface. Now, in the gentle rocking of the Myra, with the stars wheeling silently overhead, his words returned to you. The island has always held its own secrets. What secrets? You've rowed to the island countless times, explored its rocky shores, walked its narrow paths through ancient trees. You've never found anything that spoke of secrets, only the wild, untamed beauty of nature. Yet, there was that light again last night, a faint, flickering glow deep within the trees, visible only for a moment before it vanished. It wasn't a campfire, too small, too fleeting, and it certainly wasn't a dwelling. There was nothing there but trees, rocks, and the occasional deer trail. Willow shifts slightly, pulling the blanket a little higher around her shoulders. She picks up a small, leather-bound journal and a slender pencil, beginning to sketch. You watch the graceful movement of her fingers, the steady, confident strokes of the pencil on the page. She's not trying to capture anything specific, it seems, but rather allowing her hand to follow an inner impulse, a quiet exploration of line and shadow. The small oil lamp flickers almost imperceptibly as a faint draft whispers through the cabin. You feel the coolness on your cheek, a brief reminder of the vast, dark world beyond the Myra's warm embrace. The sound of water against the hull seems to deepen, a more resonant thrum as the tide begins its slow turn. It's a lullaby, ancient and constant, speaking of the sea's endless motion. You consider the possibility that the light was just a trick of the eye, a reflection, perhaps, or a fleeting glimpse of moonlight through the dense canopy. But it had seemed too distinct, too deliberate for that. A small, focused point of light, like a lantern being carried, then quickly extinguished. Willow hums a low, wordless melody, a gentle, almost meditative sound that blends seamlessly with the other quiet sounds of the boat. Her pencil continues its dance across the page, a soft scratching that is barely audible. You feel a sense of profound peace watching her, the simple act of creation unfolding in the quiet solitude of the cabin. The thought of the light on the island and Walter's enigmatic response doesn't bring anxiety. Instead, it's a gentle thread, a quiet question that weaves itself into the fabric of the evening. It's the kind of mystery that doesn't demand an immediate answer, but rather invites contemplation, a soft wonder. It's a part of the quiet magic of this place, where ancient forests hold forgotten paths and islands hint at unseen presences. The fire in the stove continues its steady work, the warmth radiating outward, filling the cabin with a dry, comforting heat. You can feel the slight vibration of the Myra, the subtle tremor of the boat against the water, a living thing breathing its slow, steady breath. Chester emits a soft snuffle in his sleep, his paws twitching slightly, as if chasing a dream mouse through a field of moonbeams. Willow closes her journal, setting it carefully beside her book. She doesn't seem to be in a hurry to do anything else. The hours are long here, stretching out into a seamless expanse of quiet. There is no urgency, no schedule, only the natural rhythms of light and dark, tide and wind. You find yourself simply existing in this moment, fully present, acutely aware of the smallest details. The way the lamplight dances on the varnished wood, the rich, earthy smell of the tea Walter made, still faintly lingering on your breath, the almost imperceptible sway of the Myra beneath you. It is a profound kind of stillness, a spaciousness that allows thoughts to drift in and out like small clouds, unhurried and unburdened. The unanswered question of the island light sits gently in your mind, a small, polished stone. It's not a problem to be solved, but a quiet detail to be held, to be pondered. It adds a subtle layer of texture to the familiar landscape, a hint of something just beyond the veil of the ordinary. And you know with a quiet certainty that Willow will carry this thread with her, too, a silent companion in the unfolding days. Perhaps she will ask Walter again, or perhaps she will simply watch and wait for the island to reveal itself in its own time. The stars outside seem to grow even brighter, their cold, distant light piercing the darkness with unwavering intensity. One, in particular, above the dark silhouette of the headland, seems to pulse, a tiny, vibrant beacon in the vastness. The air around the Myra feels still, hushed, as if the entire cove is holding its breath. The world narrows to the gentle creak of the boat, the low purr of Chester, and the steady, quiet warmth of the stove. Everything else recedes, melting into the soft edge of sleep. The deep night descends, not as a sudden curtain, but as a gradual softening of the world. The last vestige of the twilight glow, a pale memory of peach and lavender, yields entirely to the profound indigo that blankets the sky. Above you, the stars begin to prick through, not in a dazzling array, but as scattered pinpricks of light, muted by the thin veil of mist that has begun to drift in from the open sea. You feel the temperature drop, a cool breath on your skin that carries the sharp tang of salt and the damp, earthy scent of the forest. The cove itself feels suspended in this quietude. The gentle lapping of water against the hull of the Myra, which had been a constant companion throughout the day, seems to deepen, becoming less a distinct sound and more a resonant hum that vibrates through the very timbers of the boat. It is the sound of water finding its natural rhythm, a slow, hypnotic sway that rocks you gently, almost imperceptibly. You listen, and in the quiet, you can almost hear the water molecules brushing against each other, a soft shushing that is older than time. A thin fog begins to creep across the surface of the cove, a delicate scrim that dances above the water. It catches the faint starlight, creating a shimmering, ethereal landscape. The dark silhouettes of the old-growth trees that ring the cove become softer, their edges blurred as if painted with a wet brush. The distant headland, where Walter's cottage nestles, fades into this milky expanse, becoming a whisper of land rather than a solid presence. You watch as the fog slowly embraces the dock, obscuring the familiar outlines of the posts and the dinghy, transforming them into indistinct shapes. Inside the Myra, the world narrows. The warm glow of the oil lamp, now turned down to a low murmur of light, casts long, dancing shadows that stretch and contract with the gentle rocking of the boat. The air is warm and still, imbued with the comforting sense of wood smoke, beeswax, and the faint, sweet perfume of the lavender from the pot on the dock, which seems to have found its way inside. You rise slowly from the small folding table where you had been sketching, your movements unhurried, a natural extension of the quiet evening. Your hands reach for the small cast-iron stove, its surface still radiating a comforting warmth. With a practiced motion, you open the small door, revealing the glowing embers within. They pulse with a soft, orange heartbeat, a living thing in the heart of the boat. You use the small metal poker to gently bank the coals, pushing them towards the back of the firebox, covering them with a thin layer of ash. This ensures they will hold their heat through the long night, ready to be coaxed back to life with the morning's breath. The faint hiss and crackle of the coals settling is a tiny, intimate sound in the vast silence. You close the stove door, the click a soft punctuation in the stillness, and turn your attention to the small rituals of preparing for sleep. You gather the ceramic mug from which you drank your tea, its delicate blue flowers seeming to glow in the lamplight, and carry it to the small basin in the galley. A splash of fresh water, a quick wipe with a soft cloth, and it is returned to its place on the small shelf above the counter. Each movement is deliberate, a small act of care for the things that surround you, for the space that holds you. The day's small endeavors are tidied away. The watercolor paints, their vibrant hues now muted in the dim light, are placed back into their wooden box, the lid closing with a soft thud. The brushes, cleaned and dried, are laid neatly beside them. The book you were reading, its pages filled with tales of distant shores and ancient mariners, is closed and placed on the small shelf beside your berth, its spine a familiar sight. You move towards the narrow, sleeping berth in the bow, a space that feels both snug and expansive, a small world unto itself. The thick woolen blanket, folded neatly at the foot of the berth, is smoothed with your hands. The pillow is plumped, its cover cool and soft against your cheek. You run your hand along the varnished teak of the hull, feeling the smooth, polished wood beneath your fingertips, a silent testament to the Myra's enduring strength. The wood seems to breathe, to hold the warmth of the day within its grain. A soft thud, a familiar weight, lands at the foot of the berth. Chester. He has appeared as silently as the mist, a russet shadow materializing from the deeper shadows of the cabin. You feel the subtle shift in the boat as he settles, his body a warm, comforting presence. You hear the soft rumble of his purr, a deep, resonant vibration that seems to emanate from the very core of him, a tiny engine of contentment. It is a sound that speaks of home, of safety, of quiet companionship. You reach out a hand, and your fingers find the soft, thick fur of his back stroking gently. He stretches, a slow, deliberate movement that ripples through his body, before curling into a tight, warm ball. You sit on the edge of the berth, the soft mattress yielding slightly beneath your weight. The gentle rocking of the Myra becomes more pronounced now that you are still, a lullaby woven from wood and water. You listen to the creak of the timbers, the soft groan of the hull as it settles into the water, a living thing finding its rest. Each sound is a small confirmation of the boat's presence, its steadfastness. The oil lamp is still burning, its flame a steady, golden teardrop. You reach for the small brass knob and turn it slowly, carefully, until the flame shrinks to a tiny, flickering ember, then to a point of pure light, and then, with a soft exhalation of air, extinguishes completely. The cabin plunges into a deeper darkness, softened only by the faint, diffused glow of the fog-filtered starlight that seeps in through the small portholes. In this deep, enveloping darkness, your other senses sharpen. You feel the cool air on your skin, the subtle shift in the boat's balance as it responds to the gentle swell. You smell the clean scent of the sheets, the lingering aroma of wood smoke, and the ever-present, bracing scent of the sea. You hear the myriad sounds of the night, the constant, rhythmic lapping of the water, the distant hoot of an owl from the forest, a rustle of leaves on the headland as some unseen creature moves through the undergrowth. You lie back, pulling the thick woolen blanket up to your chin. It is heavy and warm, a cocoon against the night. Chester's purr continues, a steady thrumming beneath your feet, a gentle anchor in the shifting darkness. You close your eyes, and the world behind your eyelids is a swirl of warm, dark colors. Your thoughts drift, unhurried, like the mist across the cove. You recall the image of the small, steady light on the island, a quiet beacon in the fading twilight. It was there and then it wasn't, a small, intriguing mystery that settled in the quiet corners of your mind. You remember Walter's slow, deliberate way of speaking, his kind eyes, the way he always seemed to know more than he let on. The thought of asking him about the light tomorrow, when you bring him the fresh biscuits, is a gentle promise, a small thread connecting this quiet night to the coming day. The silence of the cove is not an absence of sound, but a richness, a tapestry woven from the elemental forces of water, wind, and earth. It is a silence that invites introspection, a stillness that allows the deeper rhythms of your own being to emerge. You feel a profound sense of peace, a quiet gratitude for this small, sheltered world you have found, for the sturdy Myra that carries you, for the steady presence of Chester at your feet. The gentle rocking of the boat deepens, becoming a seamless part of your own breath. You feel yourself sinking into the mattress, into the warmth of the blankets, into the quiet embrace of the night. The sounds of the cove begin to merge, to soften at their edges, becoming a single, harmonious hum. The distant hoot of the owl is a far-off whisper, the lapping of the water against the hull a steady heartbeat. You feel the weight of Chester at your feet, a comforting, living warmth. His purr, though still present, has softened, a gentle vibration that resonates through the boat and through you. The boundaries between yourself and the Myra, between the Myra and the cove, begin to blur. You are part of it all, a small, peaceful presence in a vast, sleeping world. The air is cool on your face, fresh and clean, carrying the ancient scents of the forest and the sea. You breathe deeply, slowly, each exhalation a release, a surrender to the deep quiet that surrounds you. The thoughts in your mind, like the last embers in the stove, begin to dim. They are not extinguished, but rather settle into a soft, glowing warmth, ready to be rekindled with the dawn. The question of the light on the island, the anticipation of talking to Walter, these are not urgent concerns, but gentle curiosities, held lightly, to be explored in the morning. For now there is only the profound stillness, the rhythmic lull of the water, and the gentle, steady beat of your own heart. You are held, safe within the wooden embrace of the Myra, drifting on the quiet currents of sleep. The fog outside weaves its silent spell, a soft blanket over the world. The blanket is heavy, a familiar comfort against your skin. You feel the warmth gather beneath it, a soft pocket of heat in the cool cabin air. The scent of wood smoke still lingers, a faint, sweet memory of the fire now just embers in the stove. It's a smell that has become synonymous with home, with safety, with the gentle rhythm of life here in the cove. You shift slightly, settling deeper into the mattress, the faint creak of the berth a lullaby in the quiet. Chester, a warm weight at the foot of your bed, begins to purr, a low, rumbling vibration that travels through the mattress and up through your legs. It's a sound of profound contentment, a small engine of peace in the dark. You can hear the water lapping gently against the hull, a soft, insistent whisper, a constant conversation between wood and wave. It's a sound that has woven itself into the fabric of your nights, as integral as your own heartbeat. Sometimes in the stillness, you can distinguish individual drops, a tiny asterisk plink asterisk against the wood, followed by a soft asterisk hush asterisk as the water slides away. The Myra breathes with the tide, a subtle, almost imperceptible rise and fall that cradles you. It's a motion that soothes, a gentle rocking that reminds you of being held, secure within the embrace of the cove. The oil lamp turned low casts a warm, soft glow, painting the varnished teak with amber light. Shadows dance and stretch with the slight sway of the boat, making familiar objects seem to shift and dream around you. The books on their shelves, the curve of the hull, the brass hooks on the ceiling, all take on a softer, more fluid form in the dim light. You watch the flame for a moment, a steady, unwavering beacon in the quiet, then your eyelids grow heavy. The world outside the berth begins to recede, becoming a distant hum, a soft blur at the edges of your awareness. The warmth of the blanket, the soft purr of Chester, the gentle rocking of the Myra, these are the sensations that fill your world now. The night deepens around you, a soft, velvety dark that seems to absorb all sound, all worry. The cove outside is a pool of stillness, reflecting the faint glimmer of the moon if it were visible, or the vast, scattered starlight. But here, within the Myra, it is a world of gentle comfort. You feel the weight of Chester, a warm, soft anchor at your feet. His purr continues, a steady, hypnotic rhythm that resonates with the quiet lapping of the water. The rhythmic sound of the water, a soft asterisk swish asterisk in asterisk sigh asterisk, a gentle asterisk lap and draw asterisk. It is a sound that has always been here, always will be here, a constant, comforting presence. Your breath deepens, slowing with the passing moments. Each inhale fills you with the clean, cool air of the cabin, carrying the faint, sweet scent of cedar from the wood, the lingering trace of salt from the sea. Each exhale releases the day's gentle hold, a soft letting go. You feel the subtle shift of the Myra beneath you, a gentle lift, a soft descent, cradling you in its ancient embrace. The world outside narrows, shrinks, becomes a distant memory. There is only this warmth, this breath, this gentle motion. The oil lamp flickers, a tiny spark of light, then steadies, a small, quiet flame. It casts long, soft shadows. Shadows that dance on the teak, shadows that waver, the faint scent of the wick, a subtle warmth, the lamp, the flame, the shadows, moving, soothing, the sound of water, always the water, a soft asterisk lap. A gentle swish asterisk, a whisper against the hull, the wood, the old wood, breathing with the water, Chester's purr, a low thrum, a soft vibration, a steady beat, like a small heart, near your feet. Warm and soft, the weight of him, a comfort, a presence, in the dark, in the quiet, a soft, steady rumble, the purr, the purr, the purr, it fills the small space. A soft sound, a deep sound, a sleeping sound, the blanket, heavy. Soft, warm, drawing in the heat, holding it close, around your shoulders, around your legs, a gentle pressure, a comforting weight, soft against your skin, the weave of the wool, a familiar texture, the warmth, the warmth. The soft warmth, it surrounds you, it holds you. The Myra breathes, a soft, slow breath, a gentle rise, a soft fall, a rocking, a cradling, a movement so subtle, almost imperceptible, but always there, the gentle rocking, the gentle sway, the gentle drift. Like a leaf on a quiet pond, drifting, drifting, drifting. The thoughts of the day begin to unspool, not with urgency but with a slow, fading grace. Walter's smile, the warmth of the sun on your face as you walk the path. The taste of the biscuits still warm from the oven, the gentle rustle of leaves in the forest, the distant cry of a gull, the small, quiet details. They float, they drift, like soft clouds across a twilight sky. The questions, too, grow soft. The light on the island, a small flicker, a quiet mystery. It will wait. It will wait for the morning, for the light, for the sun, for Walter. Tomorrow, another day, another conversation. The questions are not pressing. They are gentle. They are soft. They are part of the quiet drift. The Myra, the cove, the forest, the sky, all folding in, folding around you, holding you safe, holding you warm. The cabin air cool and fresh. The wood old and strong. The water deep and ancient, all part of the quiet, all part of the peace. You feel your own breath slow and even, a gentle rhythm, a soft ebb and flow, like the tide. Like the Myras, like the purr of Chester, all in harmony, all in time. The world narrows, to the birth, to the blanket, to the warmth, to the sound of the water, to Chester's weight. The flame of the oil lamp finally gives a last, soft flicker, then dies, plunging the cabin into a complete, velvety darkness. Only the very faintest hint of starlight might filter through the hatch if you were to open your eyes, but you do not. You are sinking deeper now into the soft embrace of sleep. The last conscious thought that drifts through your mind is of the quiet island in the center of the cove, shrouded in the darkness, and the faint, fleeting light you saw there. You decide that tomorrow, when you bring Walter his biscuits, you will ask him about it. A quiet question, a gentle curiosity, carried softly into the deepening stillness of the night. The world is still. You are asleep.
This is the end of today's episode. Did you listen to the whole story? Share your experience in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to The Quiet Drift. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then.